Good morning, everybody. I'm going to take you on a small journey with me today through my lived experience to where I am today as an example for how we work with survivors. I'm also going to give you a gift today, and I'm going to give you a challenge. 10 years ago was the Modern Slavery Act, and it set great foundations. It's done really good things, but it's still a work in progress. But I have amazing news for everybody here today, because the power in this room, and if you start to work together, which I'm sure a lot of you are already, we can take this forward, because I see the Modern Slavery Act as a good starting point. But we need together to get to the finish line. And we can do that together, right? We can, yes. So I'm going to take, I see it as like building a house. You know, the houses on the pillars. And I see that the Modern Slavery Act has started building this house, and it's built 3 very strong concrete pillars of protection, prosecution, prevention. But the house is still wobbling a little bit because there's one corner missing that's not supported. I bet you can guess what that is. That is the 4th pillar in my mind, is of partnership. And not just, oh yeah, partnership in a tokenistic way. We really, really have to start listening to each other. And it's not about just sharing best practices, because, I mean, that's really good. We can learn from each other. But one thing what I see missing in this space, wherever I go, is people do not dare to be vulnerable. We have this like mask that we have to be doing good work. It's like, it's a human emotion. But if you dare to be vulnerable, and you dare to say what's not working, you dare to share the weak spots, then real conversations can start happening. You can start supporting each other, and we can start taking things forward. So that's what really a strong message I want to give. And that pillar is partnership, but there is a but. That is made of concrete, but concrete crumbles. And we need to reinforce it with steel. And that metal is the survivor's voice. And only then can we start properly building, when it's stable. And so many times the survivor is used in a tokenistic way. We give feedback, we polish panels, but we need to be embedded at every level. I was speaking on a panel in Vienna a couple of months ago with all these special rapporteurs from different countries, with the Council of Europe. And I said, well, it's brilliant, I'm here and you've invited me and I'm on the panel, but why aren't I in Greta? And everyone was like, yeah, you was there, Camilla. So immediately Camilla sprung into action and says, right, we're going to get you voted into Greta. So that's happening. So this is what needs to happen. And people said, well, we don't even think about it. It's like a paradigm shift is needed. Because survivors are more than just a walk-in story on legs who raise money for funds and can't even pay their train fare home. I'm tired of fighting for transport, for hotels, for per diems. It's taking the energy away from the work. We shouldn't have to do that anymore. It should be already embedded. So there's many people with lived experience here today, from the LEAP and from different places. We should work together, have conversations today, see how you can invite these people into your organizations. And not just at a low level, but at every level. We should be CEOs and directors. We should be working at every level. And then we can really, truly go forward. So I'm going to take you on a journey back 50 years. And I'm not going into great detail. I don't want to trigger people. But I find it very important to illustrate the resilience that survivors need to have to be standing. Survivors have expertise. We have experience. We have insights. Like, looking back onto my experience, I know how the perpetrators think. I can share that knowledge. We can share that knowledge. We can use that. Things that you might not even think about. So we can work together. And 50 years ago, I was a victim of child sexual exploitation and trafficking, and I was trafficked by a gang. And there was police, there was a GP, there was my stepdad. So I could not trust anybody. I had no voice. My voice was completely stolen. Many times I was in hospital because of abuse, because of, let's just call it rape, because of torture. And when I was in the hospital setting, not one doctor or nurse even saw the red flags, even saw me. Because I wasn't sitting crying in a corner, shaking, because I'd already been warned. The traffickers are very clever. I was warned, if you ever speak or show that you're upset, they were going to do terrible things to me. But I remember staring at the doctors like, help, help, non-verbal communication. And this was missed because always somebody was with me. When I was 15, I ran away. School never even missed me. I didn't even do my exams. I was living on the street. And one thing that made me very emotional this morning coming here was a few streets away, I would sleep on the streets with no voice. And today I'm standing here with a big voice. So for me, that was really... And I remember being taken in by homeless people. People think, oh, they're dangerous. I was safer on the streets with homeless people than I was in a small town, in a small street in the UK. And the communication was missed. Schools, healthcare, police, nobody collaborated, nobody worked together. So I was missed, and I lived many years of hell because nobody spotted the red flags or talked to each other. If there was partnerships then, I might have been saved many, many years. So going back the 10 years with the Modern Slavery Act, 10 years ago, I was fighting for my voice to be heard. I was married, I have 2 children, I'd been through trauma counseling, everything was fine. So I thought, right, I really want to work in this space. I want to use my expertise and my knowledge to help the... Other people are not invisible like I was. I always say I was invisible in plain sight. And so many people out there now, even maybe 10 minutes away, 5 minutes away from where we are now, at this minute. And I don't like numbers. I like to think of if we help one person, that's somebody's daughter or somebody's son. That's the way we should look at it. Because otherwise we get like disencouraged. Everyone wants to have numbers, but it's not about numbers. It's about that one person, to focus on that one person. And I remember applying for jobs with different organizations. In the UK, I was not given interviews 90% of the time because I didn't have experience, I didn't have a good CV, and I did not have any education. If I did get an interview, it was no thank you. So I felt so discouraged and invisible yet again. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. So then I decided, right, I'm not standing for this, I'll do it myself. So I wrote my story with an author who wrote my story. And then suddenly the media opened up, people were interested. And I was invited to different parliaments, European Parliament, Romanian Parliament, started working in work teams. And then I got invited to the Red Light in Amsterdam. Somebody had read my book, sitting there in their underwear, crying, reading my book, having someone translate it to them for their language. And they asked to speak to me. And the organization said, for 5 years, we can't reach this person. But they want to speak to you because they relate. So I walked into that window and this girl hugged me and was crying. And she told me a horrific story about being kidnapped from her country, away from her 4 children. It's a terrible story. And she was threatened every day with her life and the life of her children. And as I stood with her, people were walking past, school children with their teachers saying, this is our beautiful culture. And some man was being really disgusting by the window, so I kicked him. And I got in big trouble. Like, I was like nearly crying, like this man was going, you can't do that, you're making our organization look stupid, or you'll get arrested. So I decided to write a book of awareness of what I've seen and interview and talk to different survivors. So I wrote that. And then I got invited into Ishtak, the council. So for me, I was lucky. I had opportunities. I work now as a consultant for the Council of Europe, for the UN, for the OSCE. I'm a consultant for a UK organisation called Align. Speak to Phil, he's here. Hope for Justice, and MSPEC. And MSPEC is not tokenistic with Oxford. We work from co-creating, co-designing. They listen to us. I boss them all around, right? So, because we need our voices heard and people need to listen. So the gift I want to give you today is the gift of partnership, of go and partner with each other, go and partner with survivors, give them work, pay them properly or I will come. Ethical survivor inclusion, not just survivor inclusion. And then we can go forward, and then we have the whole house and all the pillars, and that's what we can build on. So if that's one gift I can give you today, that's the gift of partnership and the gift of working with survivors, because it will be a gift for you as well and for them. And I can't even stress how important it is, so I won't even try. There's a panel later about survivor inclusion, so go and listen to that. And my challenge to end is put your phones down today, get out of your bubble, break down silos, go and really listen to each other, talk to each other, have conversations, engage. And only then can we go forward, and we can do this, right? Thank you.